If it didn't work the first time, surely it'll work the second time. Canada, Dr. Kieran Moore, Ontario's top doctor, urges mask wearing, warns mandate. You'd think we were reading something from October 2020. You'd think we were reading something from August 2020. Oh, no. I would say you would think we were reading something from March 2020. But in March 2020, the top doctor was saying, you don't need to wear masks. Don't worry about it. Masks are useless. That's what the doctors were saying back then. Now, if you say that, it's medical misinformation that can get you flagged. But when Fauci said it in March, April 2020, fine. But you'd think we were back in August 2020. Wear masks, people. Wash your fruits when they come home from the grocery. Leave your groceries in the garage for 2 days after purchase. And if you think I'm joking, I don't know if I can find the link fast enough. I'll try to find it after this. Doctors, or at least one doctor on YouTube, was saying that. I remember hearing it in the news. Leave your groceries for 2 days. Wash your fruits and vegetables. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I was pretty crazy in the first 2 weeks. I remember my kid borrowed a book from her friend and I made her leave it outside overnight. I'm capable of making mistakes. I'm capable of succumbing to the fear that humans are tempted to succumb to, which makes them act totally irrationally. Let me just go to Rumble and make sure everything's good there and see what we got. You should wash your fruit always. True, but I have a theory about washing your fruit always. Who said that? Hold on one second. I don't want to. That was in the Rumble rants. My theory now is for the amount of stuff that you don't see going on. This is from Alice Pleasance Liddell. You should wash your fruit always. My theory is that for the stuff that you don't see, to do something relatively trivial like that does nothing. And I mean, grapes, things that you're eating raw that have nooks and crannies where vegetables where insects can hide in between, fine. But washing an apple, whatever's on it is on it, and you're not getting it off with your shirt or your water. All right, whatever. But I'm not a doctor, no medical advice. I'm also a compulsive neurotic with totally irrational fears where, I'll eat a live oyster, but I will, think I'm going to die if I touch raw egg. Ontario top doctor urges mask wearing, warns mandates could return. Ontario's top doctor fears rising COVID-19 cases and the approach of winter could further jeopardize the province's struggling healthcare system. The healthcare system, I'm going to say it over and over again, has been struggling for decades. 2018, Ontario was canceling elective surgeries because of a relatively bad flu season. People should recall there was a flu season that was so bad, I think in the States, 60 to 80,000 people died of the flu. No one batted an eye. Worst flu season, I think it was 2018, deaths. So the CDC estimates 52,000 Americans died of influenza during 2017 to 2018. I thought there was a worse season than that. How about 2018 to 2019? Oh, just a cool 52,000. I can't find it right now. Just a cool 52. Oh, here we go. Longer than usual and M-shaped CDC 2018-2019 flu season was odd but not as severe as the previous deadly season. Let me just find 80. Here we go. Death marks, 2017-2018 flu season, the deadliest in 4 decades, topped 80,000 deaths. You all thought I was lying? You all thought I was mad? 2017-2018, just a cool 80,000 people dead. Nobody batted an eye. That was 2017-2018, where it was so bad in Ontario, they were canceling elective surgeries. The healthcare system has been in shambles for decades in Canada. But now it's the best excuse ever to re-implement idiotic, unscientific policy. In an interview with Global News, Dr. Kieran Moore, Ontario's medical officer of health, urged people to get vaccines, even after he referred to it as a therapeutic and recognized that it comes with a 1 in 5,000 risk of myocarditis for young men. Even after he said that. Oh, hold on, just so that nobody thinks Kieran Moore, myocarditis tweet. Just so nobody thinks, just so nobody has any doubt, I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up.
Recommend it to everybody instead of saying it's a personal decision.
Because at present, we're doing a risk-based approach.
What's the risk?
The risk, there's always a risk to having any therapeutic. To having any therapeutic.
Roll it again.
Therapeutic versus a benefit. You want to make sure there's a very strong benefit versus the risk. If for an 18-year-old healthy individual, the risk to getting hospitalized if we have no medical illness is very, very low. We know there is a risk, a very small risk, 1 in 5,000 that may get myocarditis, for example. And you'd have to have that discussion on the risk benefit of a complication from the vaccine versus a benefit of decreased hospitalization.
So with that parentheses closed, everyone, this is the same doctor. What's it? He doesn't look like Stalin. He looks like Lenin. In an interview with Global News, Dr. Kieran Moore, whatever the officer, urged people to get what he had previously referred to as a therapeutic, boosters, and wear a mask to avoid an unmanageable surge in hospital admissions, like they had in 2018, before COVID. He said the rate of uptake for fourth doses by Ontarians aged 70 and older, around 16%, was not acceptable. Oh, well, maybe there's a lot more fringe minorities with unacceptable views, Dr. Kieran Moore, Justin Trudeau. Oh, I guess all of the, what's my problem? 84% who aren't getting the booster, are they anti-vaxxers? Are they a fringe minority with unacceptable views who take up place or extremists? Should we tolerate them? It's very interesting. It's very interesting as people get additional information, decision-making changes over time. The fourth dose by Ontarians, around 16%, and that means 84% of Ontarians are selfish bastards who want Granny to die. Or they listened to Kieran Moore when he spoke previously. Not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And said public health measures like mandatory masking could return if necessary. I don't give the middle finger. If I were to give the middle finger, I would not have enough middle fingers on my body. I would go to my middle finger toe. If I were, I don't give the middle finger. It's not polite. Doesn't mean I don't think it. And sometimes I speak out loud when I'm thinking. 16% is absolutely not acceptable to me, he said. Urgent. Who the hell do you think you are, Kieran? Not Kieran. Is his name Kieran? Kieran. Who the hell do you think you are? 16% is not acceptable to me. You naughty fringe minorities. You better go get that fourth jab. Not the third, the fourth. And I'm going to mask you up and mask up your children again. While a return to mandatory masking is not yet being recommended, did it work the first time? Just curious. You're a doctor, Moore. Did it work the first time? Moore called upon people to consider wearing a mask indoors as cases rise and said he would not hesitate to recommend a stronger measure if necessary. Crack the knuckles. Crack the knuckles is an easy way not to succumb to primal instincts. Oh, I will not hesitate. Not acceptable. Can we see you follow the science, Dr. Moore? Can we see the science that shows that it worked the first time? I won't hold my breath. If there's a significant impact on our healthcare system, we can't care for Ontarians properly, which you haven't been able to do for years, if not decades, and you knew about it. I will absolutely have the conversation with the government around whether to have the mandate for a set period of time. It's not science, it's punitive. And if anybody doesn't understand it from the phrasing of this sentence, did it work the first time? Yes or no? You better show the evidence if you say yes. If they don't get their damn jabs, and I think that there's a healthcare problem which has existed for decades, I will not hesitate to punt. You're masks for you, young man. Back to the masks. Like a parent scorning their child. Just want to see how much is left in this article. Data maintained by Public Health Ontario shows the percentage of positive cases increased. Does the data show that the masks worked, had any impact whatsoever? In the week, yada, 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 who cares? Hospital admissions are also higher, like they are every winter. Moore, who has previously said Ontario needs to learn to live with COVID, said annual boosters may become a reality. Your reality. It may be that every winter you'll need to get an annual booster to protect us. Even if it means 1 in 5,000 young men is going to get myocarditis. That's a risk Kieran Moore is willing to take. That's a risk doctor is willing to take with your kids. Yada, yada, yada. Ontarians 12 years and older have been eligible for Pfizer's bivalent booster. Bivalent, it sounds so fancy. With the government expanding its age range on October 17. The Ontario government is reminding people to stay up to date with their vaccines as we enter respiratory illness season. Yeah, you might be entering another illness season, one that will affect 1 in 5,000 people, even according to Dr. Kieran Moore's own statements. And by the way, German studies actually came out afterwards and showed that it's 1 in 5,000 per dose, not 1 in 5,000 per person. Keep getting those doses. Appointments can be made through go book yourself. The booster shot, yada, yada, yada. Ontarians know that masking has worked. No. Sorry, I don't know anything. Prove it. I know nothing. I'm a clean slate, Dr. Moore. Over the last 2 years, we've had minimal influenza affecting our healthcare system. I've heard theories as to why that would be the case, even if it is the case. It wouldn't be because of masking more. It's so irritating because I'm not a doctor, but I do listen to some doctors. And some theories were that when you have two competing respiratory illnesses, the one that is more contagious will be the one that dominates that season. So the reason why there might not have been as many influenza cases hitting the hospitals was because COVID was more contagious, and therefore was the virus that thrived. And it had nothing to do with masking. Because, by the way, if the masking worked, did it work for the Rona? Oh, yeah, it's enraging. It's enraged. I'm enraged against the machine. Oh, yeah. You better do it, or we're going to bring back the masks. Man, I feel crazy. It's like I know these. If we've been living through this together on this channel, I now know. Kieran Moore comes out and is now referring to it as a vaccine when previously he referred to it as a therapeutic. He's now saying it's necessary to reduce the risk when he said previously 1 in 5,000 risk of myocarditis. He's now saying that the masks worked because we reduced the cases of influenza where they did not reduce the cases of COVID, which was the reason for which people were wearing the masks in the first place. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.